you think is pulling Biden's strings? Is it former Obama
people
officials?
that you've never heard of, people that are in the dark shadows, people that
what does that mean? That sounds like conspiracy theory. Dark shadows.
No,
what is
people
that?
that you haven't heard of. They're people that are on the streets. They're people that are controlling the streets. We had somebody get on a plane from a certain city this weekend, and in the plane, it was almost completely loaded with thugs wearing these dark uniforms, black uniforms with gear and this and that. They're on a plane.
Where's this?
I'll tell you sometime, but it's under investigation right now.
The President of the United States sounding like someone you would frankly move very quickly away from at a family gathering, talking about people in the dark shadows that control Joe Biden and travel by commercial airplane dressed in all black to take over American cities. Normal stuff. Asked this morning by reporters to elaborate, the man with the nuclear codes explained.
A person was on a plane, said that there were about 6 people like that person, more or less. And what happened is the entire plane filled up with the looters, the anarchists, the rioters, people that obviously were looking for trouble. And the person felt very uncomfortable on the plane. This would be a person you know. So I will see whether or not I can get that person. I'll let them know, and I'll see whether or not I can get that person to speak to you.
Oh, yeah, maybe we'll just get the source for this, who was on the plane with tons of looters and rioters. It turns out there's a strong possibility the president got suckered by a months-old internet rumor that's been making the rounds among right-wing paranoid Facebook users that claims Antifa is coming to your town. And now the president is mouthing this rumor repeatedly as if it were intelligence he's being briefed on. Joining me now, the reporter who tracked down the apparent origins of this rumor, Ben Collins, who covers disinformation and extremism for NBC News. When I first heard it, I thought to myself, I bet you Ben will figure this out. And you have. So where does this appear to come from, this idea, this story?
So there's a guy in Emmett, Idaho, who said that he had just got off a plane in Boise, and there were people boarding this plane from Seattle to Boise, and basically he then says what the president says. They're clad in black, they're geared up, and everybody should get armed and ready for them to take over the town. And that's sort of the dangerous part here, right? Where it's not just like this kooky little conspiracy theory. In a lot of these towns across the United States, people were armed and going down to town centers, town squares, and protecting buildings that they heard on Facebook or Nextdoor or in text messages were about to get taken down by Antifa.
Yeah, you've got so the Facebook rumor is that, a guy saying that he saw a dozen males get off a plane from Boise to Seattle, dressed head to toe, backpacks only. One, I like this, had a tattoo that said Antifa America on his arm. And he says there are people watching, will keep us informed. Heads on a swivel, watch your six, watch your back, and carry heavy, meaning, have weapons. The Payette County Sheriff had to dispel the rumor of the plane load of anti-protesters landing in Boise. But you've got people showing up armed. Like, this is what Kyle Rittenhouse did in an actual protest, showing up armed because they are being told on rumors that there's like an Antifa invasion. Now the president is parroting that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And another scary part of this whole thing is that as this got picked up along Facebook and people started iterating on it, one of the biggest versions of this on Facebook was from the 3 Percenters, which is a far-right militia group, who said the same thing. You guys got to get armed. You guys got to get ready for this thing. So we know that to be a recruiting tool from white supremacist groups. Generally, they take protests and they say, it's us versus them. We have to get moving here. And look, it's really easy to laugh at this whole idea that like Antifa is taking over an airline and all this stuff. It's funny. It's a stupid thought. It's not well coordinated. The idea that Antifa would dress in uniform and all wear tattoos and get in the plane together is bad. But this is corrupting the intelligence pipeline to the president. The president is spending time talking about this instead of actual intelligence threats, of which we have many right now. It's a real serious issue.
Yeah, and it's also, there's something that's really, really, really sinister happening. It is becoming an article of faith on the right, past the president, that the protests we're seeing are coordinated by some shadowy figure. Sometimes they say it's Soros. I want to play Rand Paul and then Tucker Carlson and Chad Wolf talking about this, basically pushing this same conspiracy theory. Take a listen.
My feeling is that there is interstate criminal traffic being paid for across state lines. They flew here in a plane. They've all got fresh new clothes, and they were paid to be here. It is a crime to do that, and it needs to be traced. The FBI needs to investigate.
Why haven't we seen the leaders of Antifa and BLM arrested and charged for conspiracy under, say, RICO, like the heads of the mafia families were?
Well, this is something I've talked to the AG personally about, and I know that they are working on it. The Department of Justice is also targeting and investigating the head of these organizations.
I mean, that's a take a step back. That is, why is the state not arresting and prosecuting dissidents as if they were mafia? And then you have Chad Wolf saying, I have talked to the Attorney General about it.
Yeah, it's also a fundamental misunderstanding of what Antifa is. Antifa is it's a series of things that it's a collection of people that there's no monarch of Antifa or something that you can go and arrest, right, and then it's all over. That doesn't work like that. And that's the thing, is that intelligence officials know this. This is not on the internet. There is a different conception of what Antifa is and what BLM is. And while the president is not on Facebook, and the president is not spending his days on Twitter and 4chan and right-wing blogs and stuff like that, well, he might be spending it on Twitter. The stuff goes upstream. It gets to him. And then he gets this entirely different version of reality that is not in an intel brief somewhere. It's from a right-wing blog. And that's the sort of thing that he's talking about. That's the sort of thing that he's trying to tamp down. If he really wants to quell the unrest, he can start by dealing with facts and not these conspiracy theories.
Ben Collins, who does great reporting on this area, thank you so much for joining us tonight.